In 2000, George W. Bush won Florida by a margin of 0.03%, leading to one of the most controversial Supreme Court decisions in history. In 1995, 51% of people in Quebec voted to remain in Canada, narrowly avoiding a constitutional crisis. And in 2003, New Zealand passed the most liberal sex work law in the world when one member of parliament unexpectedly changed his vote from no to abstain. Close votes, which I define as legislation that passes narrowly and unexpectedly, can help us understand how law shapes culture. Close votes naturally raise the question, what if? What if Al Gore had won Florida? What if Quebec had seceded from Canada? What if that one New Zealand politician hadn't changed his mind? These thought experiments are examples of what social scientists call counterfactual thinking, which is at the core of our understanding of causality. It's the logic behind a drug trial, which uses randomly assigned treatment and control groups to measure the effect of a medication. We can think about a close vote as a naturally occurring experiment. If the passage of the law is truly unpredictable, like it was in New Zealand, we can think about it as an experimental treatment and study its impact on society. I tested this idea by comparing portrayals of sex work in 355 newspaper articles in the 6 months before and 6 months after New Zealand narrowly decriminalized sex work. Now, if this period of study sounds short to you, you're right. And that's on purpose. As the period of study gets longer, it becomes more difficult to claim that any changes we see are actually the result of the law and not something else happening in society at the same time. As the bar chart shows, the use of slurs in the newspaper decreased by more than 50% after the law was changed. Certain forms of stereotyping, especially the association of sex work with drugs or crime, also decreased significantly. References to sex workers as an outgroup, fundamentally different from us, stayed relatively constant. What can we learn from this? My research challenges assumptions about the pace of cultural change after law reform. Most scholars assume that it takes years, or even decades to notice changes in norms after a law has been changed. But I noticed real differences in the way that sex workers were portrayed in the newspaper just months after a major legal victory. This confirms my close votes approach is a promising new way to study the cultural impact of a new law.